not doing our journaling and accruals right and spreading our costs across the 12-month period. We've got lumpy costs from month to month. We don't know what our financials is. I would like to see as part of this quarterly budget review as a recommendation that we undertake urgent management reporting for review so we understand the true position of the operation there.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor. So I guess the new budget that we're working through now accounts for the lumpiness. So we haven't corrected, I guess, the current budget. I'm not sure. I didn't notice an attachment. I had attached, and the intention was, and I can send it out after this, that you got the latest financial report. Do you have the latest one for January? Did you receive that? The January one?
I think it's in the low section.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I guess we won't be able to work through that in detail here, but in my mind, that is showing quite a bit of detail in terms of the sorts of costs that you're needing to see.
Look, the costs are fine there. It's the management accounting. You know, we've been asking for this since the start of the operation, and someone to sit down and go, right, what are the costs throughout the 12-month period? What are we expecting? For example, what are our overheads? Insurance. Oh, we're going to have to spend 130 grand. Let's divide 130 grand by 12 months and put it in each month. And therefore, when we get the invoice for 130 grand, it doesn't go into December and go, geez, we just made a loss of X amount for December, and then January, look, we made a profit. February, we made a loss. Like, let's do the management accounting and get revenue sorted so we know the true story of what's going on up there. I can't tell anyone, the public, they go, how's Riverview going? I can't tell you what the finances are doing in Riverview.
So noted that it's a bit up and down at the moment, and we're working on, I suppose, the new budget will, has all those cost drivers in it that make sure that we're accounting for the lumpiness in the wages and those sort of things. And I can't talk specifically because I haven't included that in the report, but the cash position at the moment, as of January, is a $26,000 deficit. And that includes some capital works that we've already been going through. So in my mind, yes, there's lots of fine tuning, but I don't think that doesn't. We're not in a high risk situation here around our financial position. That if you look at the cash result there, that's not significantly problematic at the moment.
I get that 26 grand deficit, but we're 26 grand in the scheme of what? Like, we don't know from a financial reporting whether 26 grand is a good result or a bad result. We said that we're going to go back to the public and we're not going to make it, a profit for the first few years. Great, that's good. But because we don't have a proper management accounting and we don't know what our actual costs have been for this period up until now, we can't forecast what the actual Riverview is doing over a 12-month period. You're working on the budget, that's great. We're not going to miss things like the 130 grand for Riverview, but should we be doing better? Should we be making a profit this year? Should we be making a deficit? I don't know. But just because we've got 27 grand deficit in the account at the moment, that might be our cash position. But what's the next unexpected cost that's going to come in March or April that we don't know about?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about how we move this on. I sort of have a slightly contrary view to that, because if you look at that financial report, we've got the full year result. We've got then how we're tracking. But I'm just thinking, we need a workshop, but I suppose there's another way forward to that. So I'm noting there's some information gaps that we need to close.
Councillor Pine, did you say something?
Yeah. Well, I guess just from my point of view, I actually feel quite comfortable about how we're going in review. And I do think we only took this on 1st of March last year. Big learning curve for everyone, and probably for me, looking at the budget, we were very fortunate to have Vivian on board, and with her knowledge of the income. So I sort of feel like we've probably been going along okay. And I mean, probably from a from a personal point of view of stuff, like if you've taken on another business yourself, I mean, we all go in there with these big ideas of how things are going to run. and then things crop up. And I do think with our bottom line, if it's only down where it is at the moment, there's been a lot of things crop up that, you know, have come to us that we didn't know about. And yes, of course, it's going to look lumpy, but I think, you know, with our budget for next year, hopefully now we do have these numbers, we can look at that more closely, and we've had to do up rooms, and then we haven't had people in there, so that's looked bad because we haven't had the income coming in that month. But I actually do feel quite comfortable about where we are and how it's progressing. So if that sort of gives you any confidence, you know, there's been a lot going on, and you know, we have fixed rooms up, yes. So you know, I think we're probably going along pretty good. Yeah.
I'd like to just quickly, because we spoke about this in the last meeting, take up councillor Corn's point. I don't know how many councillors went to when we went to the community and told them we were taking a review and asked for their permission, or whatever the word I should use there is. It was explained to them very well there that this was a risk to council financially. We've explained to them that the pool runs over by $200,000 a year, and we still persist with it. They gave us 100% support. They didn't look upon this as being a financially cut square operation. We are got patiently. We've got a facility up there that is running extremely well, and our main aim there is to feed these people properly, make sure their clinical care is right, make sure their rooms are comfortable. We are doing all of that, and all of this other stuff will fall into place. We ran a 3-month budget on a very dodgy budget from PAC. I'm happy to say that on recording, that we had to work with to get a budget together for the first 3 months of the year, and then focus on a budget for the next year. To talk about how the accountancy should be done, we don't have the resources. It's great to think that, you know, we have done all that. And I think before council start pulling us apart, I just wonder how many of you have actually done your due diligence and read the standards that we apply to as a board. You know, there is a lot of work here for all of us to do too, and have we done that? You know, it's very easy to say our accountancy is not right, but it is right. It's going well. We are happy as the committee that run it. We've got doctors on there. We are doing a good job. So people ask you how review is going. Tell them it's going very, very well.
Mr. Mayor and Councillor Pointing, I think you probably misread me, and I apologise if I've come across the wrong way, but I'm not questioning any of the care. That's brilliant. Everything we've got all the resources. It's probably more just about visibility of understanding costs. What worries me is that from a month to month, from a cost point of view, is the lumpiness. And if we can sort out the lumpiness, great. That's probably, you know, going from a December we made a loss to January we made a profit, you know, and there's a graph in our reporting, and if we can get a bit more consistency, and management accounting is the key word there. Love some management accounting. It's not taking away from the fact that everything's been done perfectly up there. It's more from transparency to your fellow councillors, as because we're financially responsible for this as well, is that we need to understand our costs a little bit better.
And I get that, and if you just give us 6 months with the new budget, where all of this will be done, the costs, the lumps will be evened out, and give us time, and I don't say us, because it's Kristen and Catherine that are doing this, but give them time to learn how to budget, not to learn how to budget, but to learn how to do that. Yeah, it's lumpy. There is no question about that. But the bottom line is, if you add the down lumps with the up lumps, you're going all right. Councillor McCoy.
Mr. Mayor, page 48, I move the recommendation.
Yes. Another seconder of that, please. Councillor Ulrich. Anybody wish to speak for or against? Okay, all those in favour? Community grants and donations allocations. Right. It looks like we're going to have to top that one up. So I just think we work through these from the top quickly. Walcha Antique Machinery and Truck Show. They want a truck hire and give these. In favour or not? In favour. Walbrook Public School Parents and Citizens Association. I'll go first here. I don't believe schools should be eligible for this. This is ratepayers' money. Schools are a government body that should look after themselves. My opinion. Anyone Anyone agree or disagree with that?
I disagree with that. I agree in principle that the schools should look after their own funding. I just think in this case, Woolbrook, as it says, has got 10 students. They do a lot of work with the providing breakfast, gardening club and a new home club. So for 10 families to raise money, it's a lot harder than a bigger school. So I agree with the bigger schools, but with a small school like this asking for a shed, $1,500 for a shed, I think it's a reasonable request.
So can I just suggest here that we put our hands up whether we're in favour or against? Who's in favour of Woolbrook School getting money? Right, they're up. Walcha Pony Club, 29,000 in the bank.
I asked a question on this one, I'm sorry, to slow things down, but it looks like some could be going to children who aren't Walcha kids. So is there some way of dividing this up so that if it's going to Walcha, like can we have outside students with club members paying, or is that just getting complicated?
I struggle to see why an organisation with $29,000 in the bank needs $1,000 of their money. We know that 29,000 spare. Or the financials were provided. That's a lot of money for a small club. All in favour? Anyone in favour of giving it to Pony Club?
I'm going to rescind this.
Yeah, you're good. It's it. Right, you're in favour, right? You lost that one. It's out. Yarn bombing. So these are people that put those rack out trees up that we've got to pay to cut off. Because someone's cut it off all the way.
No, those 3 units where they cut it off.
Right.
Yeah, they actually do all the work.
Right, everyone knows what yarn bombing is? Right, any in favour of yarn bombing? Oh, that one's a bit even. No, putting your hand up high doesn't help.
Casting vote from the floor.
I don't want to cast him back.
I'll
Okay, it's up. I'll get my page up. Sorry, what's the next one? Now doc, 90,000, I think that's all right.
We'll come back and revisit that when we come to the rest.
Walcha District Historical Society, I think they're a great organisation. They keep our history. St Patrick's School, $2,000.
The argument just had our school, the fact that you didn't want to fund Woolbrook School, St Patrick's also a school.
I don't want to fund it. I've been saying, anyone want to fund St Patrick's? It's out. Well, that's it. All right.
We revisit the Down Dog Rec Reserve.
Yeah.
They've got all this leftover money. Can't they do something with some money? I mean, I know the application's for 98,000, but there's a few things in there that they could possibly be assisted with. Is there any room to negotiate?
Everything seems to be contingent on everything else there, doesn't it? Can I suggest that the rest of the money be left through the year? We get little things that come to us, you know, that people don't see coming. The Melbourne Cup thing last year is a prime example of it. The Melbourne Cup comes to Walcha, little committee, they want to set up that kind of thing. Can I suggest the rest of the money just sit in fund, probably at the general manager's discretion if he's asked for it. That's the way most councils seem to work. The general manager has a discretionary fund. If no one's happy with that, I'm happy to change it. Oh, but council planning, sorry.
Well, just on that, because, you know, I sit on the multi-purpose centre committee, and, you know, each year I think it does apply to $500, but I can see, you know, that hasn't been done here. So, and I'm just really, I didn't mean to ask what the rules were behind that, if the council was meant to do that each year. If that's actually a rule, they need to apply for it.
We're obligated to
As
pay
well.
it. I don't know how it's worked, but we are obligated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, thank
So years ago, they automatically got one, same with the Historical Society, but we changed our policy because the SRB, we don't have the money like we used to put donations through. So we have a limited budget every year and we ask them to all apply using our form. So the MPC weren't the only ones that didn't apply this year. We were late this year as well due to other circumstances. There's like Woolbrook Hall and Yugabar Hall and all them didn't reply either. So there is a few boards that might be struggling a little bit.
Okay, sorry, I was just going to say, as long as there wasn't an obligation that we were meant to, support the NPC, that was really my question as well.
They have to apply as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had this discussion before, I thought it was in our agreement, and said it wasn't, so, you know, normally we have the swim club, the tennis club come along, you know, they may have missed this, what's that, sorry?
Swim club or benefit.
Oh, yeah, it's a problem,
Through the
tennis club,
symposium.
and baskets, yeah.
Yeah.
So what it is, they're feeling there to put it into this group, and then if now got one, some of it, well, they can reapply.
I spoke to Moundock as well, sorry, to the lady that did the application, she went through and she was asking where it's at. And I said, council don't have a budget that big, our budget is 13,000. And she's like, oh, I thought you'd had like lots of money. And I said, oh no, sorry, we don't. But they need to follow grants for that. That's a major project down there that they need to fix. And that's the only thing I think that they can do with regards to that.
Okay, I don't have one there to move with that, do I? Determine that, we'll move on to.
Oh, I do need a mover for the actual, what we decided.
Okay. Move that recommendation, please. Councillor Gregg, Councillor Oric, all in favour, unanimous. Right, move on to the US. Councillor O'Brien leaves the room at 5:30. All right, I'll hand this to Director Infrastructure Development. You want to handle this question if you've got a history with it? Okay, hand it to the General Manager.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is, you'll recall, the draft land use strategy which the council received favourably back in October, but wanted to see that all government department inputs be fed into the consultative process, considered, and the ultimate strategy amended where deemed necessary before the council actually adopted the strategy, which will be very useful in informing councils not just decisions about generic planning in the township, but also to go to amending our local environmental plan. So that, as you see, one of the attachments is the analysis of both the submissions by the various government state departments and analysis provided by Guide, and with the suggested, in most cases, minor amendments to the strategy, which is now for you for formal adoption.
We have a recommendation there. Does anybody wish to discuss anything in this, or we've been right over this a few times? It's been forward and back. Councillor Thompson, do you wish to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. General Manager. When we discussed this in October, I left a question on notice outstanding regarding the proposal to develop the Western Precinct. And the question was sort of revolving around why we would plan to develop that western side of particularly the Ashley River, where our waste treatment works is on the eastern side of the river. It just seemed a bit more logical for me to be developing country land where effluent navigation doesn't have to cross the river. We're already under pressure to maintain that system. So it's sort of like pretty expensive, maybe avoidable option.
I just, yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, noted. I dare say that they all stated we do have two sides of the river where settlement takes place, and there's been, appears to be a good level of interest on both sides of the river that no doubt will continue in the foreseeable future. So the concentration of say to the east, so it's closer to the treatment station, is a good point, but there are factors around where people want to live. I guess that has to be taken into consideration as well.
Excuse me, that one that just seems a little bit, putting the horse before the cart. You have to, and it's probably, I know it's regulation, yes, but we're putting this, the energy strategy up before we prepare our water and sewage strategies and the temporary construction working strategy.
Councillor McCoy.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just a couple of comments. I think there's still some shortcomings in the land use strategy. However, in the interest of moving forward, I think I'm quite happy to support its adoption. I was wondering whether it wouldn't be a good idea when the new strategic planner comes on board, one of his earliest tasks would be to actually review the document and give us his opinion on what he thinks about the document and whether he sees any issues. Probably preferring to do that before we submit the endorsed document back to the Department of Planning, Infrastructure and Housing, because I think they might have some issues with some of the changes or some of the facts that the guide has recommended that we don't do anything because no one made a submission about it. One of the comments they made in dealing with the comments made by the Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure. So I just think, yeah, in the interest of proceeding, I'd like to move the recommendation, but also add that we ask the strategic plan, ask the general manager to engage with the new incoming strategic manager and planning manager and to ask him to make review the strategy and report to council.
Yes, through Mr. Mayor, absolutely. Brett Gardner, our new senior strategic planning manager, is only a week and a half away. Sean is Muscat, was in Tamworth for a medical check today, so we missed him, but I think he would be very interested in the document, and with a fresh set of professional eyes, would be useful to just go through and fine tune any areas of concern.
So we'll move with that recommendation. Do I have a second with that recommendation? Councillor Ulrich. Councillor Ulrich, you wish to speak for it? The council wish to speak for or against it? All those in favour? And unanimous. Moving on to the updated roadside vegetation policy. Oh, sorry. Councillor O'Brien returns to the chamber at 5:36. Councillor O'Brien, the strategy was adopted with the condition that when the new planner arrives, that they review it before it goes back to the department. Right, we're up to item 7.9, updated roadside vegetation policy. General manager, there wasn't a lot of updates, movement in this. Does anybody wish to speak to it or anything like that? Otherwise, I'll call for a mover. This is Councillor Ulrich, Councillor Gregg. Wish to speak to it or against it? All those in favour? Being unanimous. Royal Australian Air Force landing fees agreement. This is, I guess, a document in a way that changes, signals possible changes in the way we charge for the aerodrome. So I'll hand over to Brett to talk about that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So currently, council has an annual agreement with the Royal Australian Air Force, and it's now up to $16,110 per annum paid to council. This is reflective of, or may have been reflective of, historic usage of the aerodrome by the RAF. My previous tenure in another council, we worked with the Australian Air Force Association, who managed the recovery of landing fees by the Air Force on a significant number of aerodromes and airports around Australia. It's a fully automated system. The Air Force notified AAA in terms of their landings, their mission profiles, and then the payments are then given, calculated, and then sent through to the relevant operators of the airports and aerodromes. If you look at the figures, just a bit further down on page 59, the current AAA rates for the Air Force are $20 per 05 per tonne. You look at the Hercules is best part of 80 tonnes maximum takeoff weight, and the smaller two-engine Spartan is about half that, 30 tonnes. So that equates to around about $1,500 per landing for Hercules, and about $900 per landing for a C-27. If that mission profile is a number of circuits and bumps, as they call it, you do a circuit, touchdown, and go again, they'll pay two landings equivalent for any particular mission profile. So Hercules could be $3,000 per profile, so say for example per day of use. Spark could be about $1,800. In the nearly 5 weeks that I've been here, if we were to be charging on a per landing basis, my estimate is that we would already be at or around the $16,000 in equivalent landing fees if we were charging on a per mission or per landing basis, and we currently recover that in 12 months. So the aim of this paper is basically to get council's approval for me to talk to AAA, look at the opportunities associated with recovering fees on a per landing basis, what that looks like, what an estimate might be for future years. Clearly, the Air Force could stop flying here. I don't think they will, and we don't intend to change conditions at the aerodrome such that they would suddenly take us off their mission profile list. Estimates could be that we would recover 4 or 5 times the current figure on an annual basis than we currently do. But again, that would need to be evaluated with Australian Air Force Association. I've had some conversations where some concerns were raised with this put off the Air Force from using the aerodrome. I don't believe that to be the case. So my previous tenure, we ended up bringing in significant numbers, 5-figure numbers from the Air Force. If anything, actually their use of the aerodrome increased. So there are opportunities with that extra funding to do a bit more maintenance, start to improve the capability of the aerodrome over time, and that in itself would perhaps lead to additional landing arrangements. So just going to the recommendations, really it's more for notes at the moment, but also it also supports my discussions with AAA and look at what that future could look like. The one cost to council would be annual membership of AAA, which is, from memory, about $1,200 a year, I think. But the rest of it would be non-incurring back to the council. Minimises council work in terms of accounting costs. The money would be paid directly into a council bank account, and that would be basically additional income to council.
So do we only charge the RAAF wing?
Correct.
Councillor McCoy, looks like you're about to press the button.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So basically, the RAF are already paying these landing fees to other airports. Is that correct?
3 weeks now. That's correct, Councillor. I'm not sure if I can give a number from my previous tenure, but it was significant.
So yeah, I guess the number's not really all that important. It's just that they are used to this arrangement, and they have or obviously got no objections to doing it this way.
I would argue that Walker's probably an outlier in terms of the Air Force and AAA do this all around the country. Right. So this is a standard practice for.
And the whole process is automated, so you don't have to worry about going out there and making sure they follow it.
Absolutely correct.
Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you to the Director of Administration for putting this report together. I probably will, speak against this. I guess, as an aerodrome user, I've declared my conflict of interest. I worry that we're penalising the hand that feeds us at the moment. The RAF we've had a long-term relationship with. I haven't been here as long, but I understand it's like 30 to 40 years that these guys have been landing here. Now, let's go back to the numbers. So $20 per landing. Now, in the last month, I think I counted one night that they did about 15 landings in one night. All right, so 15 landings times $1,500 per landing is equivalent to our whole annual income. Now, that's well good. I'd love to see everything up there get built and be certified and that. But I think where these fees are very applicable is when you have a certified aerodrome, an aerodrome with an automated weather information system, an AWAS, sealed runways, lighting, instrument approaches, NOTAMs. We don't have any of that. We're just a rural strip, an ALA, approved landing aerodrome, and we don't have any of those services. So we're charging a premium or commercial rates for the Hercules to come here and land, but we're not providing them the services to, I guess, support that thing. My other worry is that to administer this, now I couldn't quite hear you when you said it, but I know third-party companies like AppData are used to administer the fees, and they take a significant chunk of that money. So, you know, we do all this, and they administer it, and they get a lot of money. Council don't actually get a lot of money, and they have to install the resources for that. So that's, correct if I'm wrong, but they have to set up a specific channel, and that is all recorded through communications back and forwards rather than an individual CTAP. I think my preference would be, yeah, there may be opportunity to increase the fees, all right? But I'd rather work with the RAF to try and get a better outcome and to try and get them to contribute rather than paying fees, is to contribute towards resources. Every email that they send us as a notification, they say on there, happy to fix up the damage at our own expense. I would prefer to have conversations with the RAF to say, what more can we do up there to improve the safety? Will you chip in to do the fencing? Will you chip in to do some runway sort of apron extensions for taxiways and stuff like that, get them to come to the party that way, rather than deterring them to do multiple landings? I don't know, they may just go, yeah, okay, sweet, we'll sign off and we'll land there. We're a government department, we don't care. I worry that it's going to become very expensive for them very quickly, and then we're going to be left without any money at the aerodrome, and that's the only thing that pays its way up there.
Yes,
Just to clarify, there's a couple of points. Councillor, thank you for that. So first of all, the capping, the landings are capped at two landings, irrespective of the number that they do, so that's the maximum. So you wouldn't get 15 payments for one set of circuits, you'd only get 2 landings. So anyway, that still is, you know, $3,000 for a Hercules or $1,800 for a C-27. The landing rate is $20.05 per tonne maximum takeoff weight. So you multiply the 80 tonnes for a Hercules by 20.05 and you get the $1,500 per landing. That is an agreed rate across the whole of Australia. So every aerodrome that gets that, so every aerodrome that we land gets that based on maximum takeoff weight. Our data actually are for GA aircraft and other aircraft generally.
Yes.
AAA are the only organisation that collect fees for the Air Force. So our data are not involved in that at all. So there's another discussion to have there in terms of you know, whether we engage our data in GA and stuff like that. I don't think really we're mature enough to do that at the moment. So I think the basis of this report and this request is that council supports my discussions with AAA at the moment. No decisions were made, and then I'll come back to council maybe next month, or depending on how long it takes to get through this, possibly in a couple of months' time, with the information such that council can make a decision based on what we found. Completely agree with you in terms of the condition of the runway, and the irony at Walcha is that if we actually improve the condition of the runway, for example, ceiling, it may actually deter the Royal Australian Air Force from using it. But I need to get that from them as well, and see what we can do if there's any other things like the weather system, whether we get ADSB, whether we get radio there. That's all things, fencing improvements. That's all things we can do. And if we can end up getting potentially more fees from the Air Force on an annual basis, we could start chipping away at some of that capability that doesn't deter the Air Force from landing there, but actually makes the aerodrome, you know, safer and more efficient for all the other users as well. So I think this is stage one, and we may go to stage one and then stop it. We may say there's a route forward to stage 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's really where I'm asking.
So you're asking to start a conversation.
Yes.
So
That's perfect. Very happy with that. Is there a part there that we should be talking to the Defence Force as well, and try and get at least some feedback from them in conjunction, so that allows us to make a decision at the next meeting? So one's with Air Force Association, but one's the Defence Force, and see what their appetite for it is.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think that's a really good idea. So about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, the Air Force sent 2 airfield inspection teams. I think you probably saw it. And one of them was probably can't say too much actually on public record, to just see whether, you know, what the aerodrome was able to provide in terms of capability and constraints and what have you. So we'll be probably having conversations with them again on that basis. And I think a general more open conversation with the aerodrome engineering team in the Air Force would be really helpful as well, to see what else we can do to help support future mission.
We seem to have a recommendation here just to move forward with the conversation. I'll move with that. Councillor Orrick, Councillor Euston. Anybody wish to speak against it for it? All those in favour of that being unanimous. Walcha Road Memorial Access Upgrade. This one's for noting. State Councillor Orrick's helping with that. Great to see you working with the community. Other Councillor Orrick, you wish to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have had plenty of discussions with Stephen King, and also only just last Friday, the Director of Infrastructure happened to come down that part of the world for a drive around, and we inspected the site as well, where we actually possibly came up with maybe some, I wouldn't say issues, but maybe the site needs a further inspection with him, with the Director of Infrastructure involved as well. Only basically from a safety point of view, I don't know whether people are aware of the fact, but the current steps down there access straight onto the road in front of or straight opposite the pub. So if that's a stairway, a very well designed, nice looking stairway, there could be still a safety issue with people just wandering straight down there out into the traffic. So I think it's, like, I support the whole project, but I think it's imperative that we have a meeting on site with the Director of Infrastructure, myself and Stephen King particularly, to discuss the project prior to work commencing. The latest commencement date is at the middle of next month, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Orrick. On that, do you wish to move that recommendation?
I do, yeah, so I move that the Walcha Road War Memorial Access Upgrade Report be received and noted, and whether we need to put an extra on that recommendation that the Director of Infrastructure meets with myself and Stephen King on site as soon as possible.
Yes. The second of that? Or would you wish to speak to it, Councillor McCoy? You had the light on there. Did you wish to speak to it?
I just wanted to ask a question.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, well, you want to get a second of the motion first, sorry.
I second it would be Councillor Pine. Yep, now. Sorry.
Coming back to the finances, I think we're mucking about a hell of a lot for an amount of something that's less than what you probably earn in a day. But yeah, I just don't see the issue of going to and from the grant funder for this, whatever this amount of $13,000 or whatever's left of it after we spend $9,000 and $4,000. We just allocate the $13,000 to the project, make a budget of $26,000 and get on with it.
Yes, do you wish to that to be part of the
One
recommendation?
each council role with the group.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And you seconded, I know Councillor Poynting seconded that, so you have to, Councillor Poynting?
Yeah, I am, but I'd just like to know which bucket of money the $13,000 is coming out of, if we're going to use it.
Judge? Don't take it off the heart of the road.
Talking about roads, that's right.
I don't have anything.
Don't have any speed.
Not off the top of my head. Sorry, Kim.
Well, because there is that money in that, and I've said it before, in that arts fund. So I don't know whether, you know, when instances like this arise, whether that is appropriate to use, because by the end of this year, there's meant to be $12,000 in there, so it's
Yes.
pretty close.
General Manager.
In the interest of expedience, Mr. Mayor, I wonder whether the motion is approved and staff can come back and report back on the funding source of this.
Okay. So your vote. Okay, all those in favour?
Can I just make a quick
Oh,
comment?
sorry.
Just in relation to that, I think with the in-kind support being provided, that figure won't be exceeded, certainly. And we may even get a better result after John and I had a look at it last week. We might even get a better result overall for our bang for our buck, basically.
Councillor.
Can I make a comment too, and just relating to the work we need to do together? I think Stephen wants to do the steps on the 25th of March, so time's fairly tight, I guess. They certainly want to finish finance that day.
Correct.
So it would be good if that could be done. It's a matter of urgency, I guess. Thanks.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think the ideas we were suggesting last week, I would argue we could probably deliver that more quickly than the same steps up through them. So I think that's achievable.
Thank you.
All those in favour? Unanimous. Request to fly the Torres Strait Islander flag. I'm going to go straight to the recommendation here because we understand this one to be voted up or down. Move that recommendation, please. Councillor Gregg, seconder, with Councillor Twining. You wish to speak to with Councillor Gregg?
I think it's a good proposal. It's been put together well, and I support it.
Councillor Twining, you wish to speak to it?
Nothing more to add.
Does any councillor wish to speak against this or ask a question?
Just ask this question, is there a protocol for flying this flag? I guess it's the federal government's got all sorts of rules and regulations, so I guess we're going to consult with them, eh?
When I first heard about it, I read a bit about it, and it just fits in with the other two flags. You know, don't drop it on the ground, don't fly it up at sunset, all those things. As I understand, all those in favour? Unanimous. Delegations to the general manager. These, I got these off Tamworth Council. Our delegations generally here is what the general manager can do and then have gaps in it. So this is really just makes us a lot smoother